Well, you can't keep good men down, and here they are again. I'll cozy up a little bit. The two bees, and me, and this is once again their program. Go forward, chaps.
Thank you very much. Philip, I should say that a family member bought me this jumper, so I wear it under sufferance. But, well, I wear it over a T-shirt, but you know what I mean. Keith, we have a question for you, which is, it might be thought to be a test of your cognitive abilities, and that is, what is your date of birth?
28th of November, which is yesterday, 1939.
No, it wasn't yesterday. Today's the 30th.
Yeah, you're echoing a little bit. I don't know why, but so keep going.
The 28th was Tuesday.
Yeah, it was Tuesday, Keith.
Oh, what's today?
St. Andrew's
Thursday.
Day.
Oh, right, yes, I'm sorry. Two days ago.
Worry,
yes,
yeah.
2 days ago.
You had your birthday.
Yes, indeed. I was 2 days ago. Gosh, I'm older than I thought.
We're all doing that, I'm afraid, but let's be grateful for it on one level.
And I sent Keith a wonderful message in French.
Yes, I actually just found it, and then I got a tap on the window. So I haven't had a chance to read it yet. Oh my goodness me! Oh my goodness me!
There's a card. There's a card in there as well.
Is there?
You don't have to open the card now. You don't. So you certainly don't have to open the bloody bottle of wine. Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to take a look at it though. Wow. Oh gosh.
It'll keep
Fantastic.
you occupied.
Indeed, it will.
Keith, now you understand why I wanted to be involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As will that.
Wonderful. Let's open the card.
A little cake.
Oh, and a little cake. All right. Yeah, I thought I'd be working from home and try. and with the sheep. Oh man. I'm wishing you all the best. You aging porn star with Richard and Phil. Oh, fantastic. Let's put that up.
Yeah, put that up.
Right. And there is a wonderful Coolmore chocolate cake.
Well, it's a chocolate fudge cake, and I thought in some way that resonated with appearances.
That's brilliant.
I don't quite know what's happened there, but I saw it in the shop, and I thought, that has to be the one for Keith.
Oh dear. Oh, what a wonderful surprise.
as long as it's not laced with Keithnick.
Yeah. So how does it feel to be a year older?
Well, actually, apart from sort of waking up and saying I'm a year older, I don't really feel it very much. No. The last 30 years of my life have been absolutely wonderful, and I think probably the 30 years before that were wonderful, and hopefully the 30 years before that will be wonderful. But actually, strangely enough, we were talking with John Henty just a little while ago, because he had one of those books that you got for the boys' own book of.
Yeah,
and he had two, one from 1940, which he would have been aware of, and I wasn't. I mean, it's a couple of years afterwards that I managed to become aware of things, and so we discussed those and all the things like Max Miller and Arthur Askey and several other well-known radio stars, because they were radio in those days. We didn't have television. They did in London, but we didn't have the rest of the country. But you know, one of my favorite mentions, if you like, is I can remember one of the very first things that I remember in life is I came from a family which was very big. It's not anymore. I'm almost on my own, or I'm on my own here. I had lots of great aunts. And I remember my one great aunt carrying me along by the hand. It must have been about 1943, 44. And a plane went overhead. And I said, Aunt Lil, is that one of ours or one of theirs? Oh, that's one of ours, I said. She said, why did God make Germans? To which her response was, hush, child, hush.
In it remains a very pertinent question, but there we go. That's deeply racist of me. Yeah.
Well, I hope you realise, Keith, how much we appreciate you.
Well, it's very kind. I mean, to me, you fill a remarkably important slot in our television service, and I have to say that whenever you open your mouths, you're well thought out and very knowledgeable about a whole host of things. I, on the other hand, just nod as if I know what the hell you're talking about.
Well, you know that's not true, and
but Phil,
I can't speak for Barton, but I think he will agree. It's not just the television. You know, we've become. You're a very engaging character, Keith, and you have so much to tell us.
I'm slightly troubled by him suggesting that we fill his
slot.
Yes. Given
that's where the fudge cake comes in.
Well, exactly. That you know, that's where I think I am onto Esther Ranson's line about you know, that sort of thing.
Trial line.
Yeah, well, they do one which is called Barrister's Line, which is a similar thing about barristers who are abused by men they meet.
Yes, but your mental age will fit the Esther Ranson.
Oh, completely. There's no question.
Criterion, Richard.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Well, now it is. Richard knows, and you don't, but if for the new year, we're going to actually drag you in even further, because one way or another, this television station is going off in a rather funny direction. But Dr. Mark Maybe, who is appears every Wednesday.
Yes, he was on yesterday, wasn't he?
That's right. And he's involved with two young men who have now raised over £1 million so that they can start a new university, the University of Diversity. And they've asked that it's going to be in Manchester, but they want a satellite in Lewis. So we're going to get involved in it, and we intend to make you involved in it. And I think that could be quite an interesting voyage to ride.
I'm just slightly having a clash in my head between the word diversity and Philip Meredith. You know, I think if you were to broadcast him to Manchester, Keith, you would have to have the mute button ready virtually all the time. But
we could make sure that we only broadcast about the Pale Blues.
Yeah, yes. And that would be He talked very peacefully.
RB has ever took the words out of my mouth. The very word diversity causes friction within my psyche. What on earth is a university of diversity?
Well, it is the nice thing is that it is totally. I mean, I think you've got to know me now. Is I don't do anything the way that people normally do. And these young men realize that what we're doing is we're talking or sending out all sorts of youngsters with a piece of paper who can't get a job. Is what they are. Is that they are academically trained, and I've had a number of people walk in and try to help out or be part of this, and they really haven't a clue what television is all about, and that's true a lot of areas of endeavour for young people. They don't intend to have that many lecture halls. They're going to go back hybrid to what used to be, as in our youth, the apprenticeship scheme, that they will be putting people into real positions to be able to work and learn what's going on deck and not in a lecture hall. It's quite interesting.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
but that's not. I didn't take that to mean diversity. Diversity to me is you have to open your mind. You have to be unbiased about race, creed, color, gender, sexuality. That's what I interpret diversity in the modern sense of the word to mean.
I can say is that this is a totally new concept, and that these chaps have ripped themselves away from doing things in an ordinary way, and it's up to us is to put stuff into the melting pot and see what we can come up with.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I did notice that once again Keith said they like to put people in positions. And
yeah, I know. I nearly interrupted.
Yes,
but I thought he might dig the hole deeper.
Yeah, it's as you know, Philip, I've got a file on my computer with all of this, which I will be providing to the police about this man. And so, whilst he has celebrated his latest birthday on Tuesday at his normal home, I strongly suspect that next year he will be a slightly closer neighbour of mine when he celebrates his birthday.
Well, it is the inevitable consequence of la connaissance charnelle.
Can I just say to you, Philip, that we're showing the.
Good morning.
How are you, Michael? It's another one of our backroom boys here who looks after us beautifully. Yeah. How are you? We've been showing, and we started again, the 8-part series that we did, and doing half a program on the bloody past of a tiny town.
Yes,
and
I know you've been.
Yeah, is in we've now gone to starting the first part of episode 3, so it's a little while away, but it's all about Graham Greene's Brighton Rock and the racetrack
up on the hill.
That's right, which actually took place here.
Yeah, and it was in the newspapers at the time. There was a stabbing up there, and he based it on that, didn't he?
Absolutely, and not only that, but the miscreants, the skanks, were tried in Lewes Crown Court, and they bust down all sorts of the Peaky Blinder type people to yell and scream and intimidate the judge and the jury and the witnesses and so on. But they withstood it all, and it ended the Peaky Blinders. But I start off this episode by looking through a grill which makes it look as if I'm in prison.
Yes. Well,
Well, as Richard says, in a year's time, there'll be no need to pretend.
no. And Keith, let me reassure you this: I will write you an advice on appeal.
Oh, thank you.
No, he said on appeal, not for an appeal.
No, and I think it might begin with and end with the word no. But
Oh dear.
my best
No.
advices are a bit like that.
Keith,
Well, actually, I don't have that much time left for you to visit me, have we? I mean, it'll probably take a whole year before the courts will get me through, and you'll probably come, and there I'll be sitting, looking miserable in the back of a cell or something.
Do you think?
well, they do fast track obscenity cases.
Yeah, and it may well be that you can fool them in some way and persuade them that you need to be an inmate at HMP Bronzefield, the women's prison.
Oh, well, that's okay.
Yeah. I thought you wouldn't mind that.
Yes.
I thought you wouldn't mind.
Yes, the day is looking much brighter already.
Now, Keith, I've resent you the email that contains the PDF about the siege of Arundel.
Oh, you're very kind, thanks.
Who's that? I couldn't see.
Michael just asked me whether I
Oh.
wanted a tea.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd be called.
This staff
Tip
are just absolutely marvelous.
No,
at this
they're
club.
wonderful people.
Terrific. Absolutely. Yeah.
Keith, did you hear me say that I'd resent you the email?
Yes. And the moment that we're off, I shall take a look.
Well, no, all I'm mentioning it for is that it was obvious earlier that the Civil War is something that interests you
Yes.
and me as well. Now, Richard hates the sort of bare factual sort of history lessons, but if, for example, sadly he's unavailable, you and I could do a two-way thing on the Civil War, maybe.
Absolutely. We're more than happy. But if we can persuade him to sit in, I'd love to. But it is particularly the battle which is actually Munster Green, even though it really is the train station, Haywards Heath, that is the centre of this particular battle.
Well, Haywards Heath wasn't really there, was it? At the time?
Well, the Dolphin Inn, apparently, which is still extant, was.
But it was a tiny village
Yes.
until the railways came along.
Yes, that's right. It's grown as a result of that. Yeah.
And when you interviewed Oliver Cromwell, how did you find him?
Rather severe.
Yeah.
And really, what bothered me was that I lost touch with him, and then I went into a bar one day and I said, "How's Oliver?" And they got very upset because by that time he was not a very popular figure. In fact, we don't know where he's buried.
No. Well, his head was stuck up on a spike for a while, wasn't it?
Yes, but then it was thrown on a garbage heap.
Well,
Is that correct? Is that correct?
They exhumed him and they hanged, drew, and quartered him, even though he was dead.
But I think Keith's one of his great outside broadcast interviews was on Whitehall when he had his microphone and he held it down and he said, "So tell me, King Charles I, how does it feel to have your head cut off?" And
Well,
shut the microphone.
it's obvious, isn't it, Richard, from Keith, that he's always been an innovative journalist.
Oh, completely. Completely.
And he obviously liked interviewing headless monarchs.
Well, now tell me, you can fill in a little bit of my gap that is gone over the period of years.
Can you stop talking about your gap?
I was on the house on Whitehall where they built the scaffolding outside and led him out to be shown to the crowd prior to having his head cut
The
off.
mansion.
What
Yeah.
was it? The Mansion House.
Yeah.
But then there are two mansion houses.
There's one in the city, but this
This
is
is
the one
on
they've got
Whitehall.
on Whitehall.
Yeah, right.
And they've got that balcony where they did the chippy choppy business.
Right. Yeah. Well, I've been in there a couple of times, which is rather interesting. Yeah. Have you been in?
I've never been in there. I've obviously been past it quite a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
I was just fearful that I would, go in there and lose my head. So,
How about you, Philip? Have you been in that building?
Not that building. As I've told you before, I've been in the City Mansion House.
Yes.
Yeah.
Through
Yes.
my father-in-law's membership of a guild not the Freemasons, Richard, but a guild. And
yeah.
I went there for a couple of dinners, which in those days I really enjoyed, I have to say.
Yes.
Now
The
it's all
fine dining in the guild halls. I mean, most of them were destroyed during the bombing, during the Blitz.
Yes.
There are the Painters Hall I've been in for a dinner, and it's rather nice. In fact, rather monumental. They're fantastic.
Yes, well, one that still survives is very near the Old Bailey, which is the Goldsmiths Hall, which I visited because, as I told you before, my grammar school in Stockport was founded by a goldsmith from London called Sir Edmund Shah in 1487. And he did a really good speech in 1993, whatever it was. No, he did very well.
That I worked briefly for CNBC, which was just around the corner from Old Bailey. The one thing I liked was you could skip out through the back at 5 o'clock in the morning and get breakfast in the marketplace there.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
and a liquid breakfast.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You always had champagne with it.
No, that was one of those things because it was all the people from the markets, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Not anymore, but only very recently has that disappeared.
You're absolutely right. I remember going there on in the morning, long night out, hair of the dog, and a full cooked before you head off slightly queasily to court.
Is that Michael? Are you making approving noises about drinking at 5 o'clock in the morning?
I have no problems there, sir.
So, yeah, but it depends where it is. 5 o'clock, doesn't it? You know?
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for this wonderful party. I really hadn't appreciated what was going to happen, and I shall make sure that this is put to very good use.
Good. That's the very purpose of it.
Now we're going to talk about the English Civil War. What else have you got up your sleeve? Is we probably will take a couple of weeks break over Christmas, and then we shall hit the ground running in January. So I hope that you've got some nice juicy things to put in front of your adoring public.
Keith, I'm sure we do, and I'm sure we're not going to tell you.
We'll come up with something for Monday, and I don't mean Richard's breakfast. The Civil War thing is merely a suggestion that if there are times Richard can't be with you and me, then we can just alternate with that.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think that Monday will be a history topic.
No, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And the great thing about this, Phil, is, as we've spoken about before, is that we've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Things happen, and if one of them grabs our fancy as a topic.
Yeah, can you be careful with your phraseology?
Yeah,
You're sitting next to a.
I know a porn star. I know.
So
I know.
grab your fancy could be a tad provocative.
I think it was the one line he had in the film.
Yes, which ended up on the cutting room floor.
Um,
But I think that Muhammad died, and Napoleon filled in very nicely.
yeah, it was well. You know, we've got the film to see. If you know, Phil quite properly made reference to the previous film with Christopher Plummer as Wellington, I believe.
And Rod Steiger as Napoleon.
Absolutely,
Yes.
and had a huge, you know, that was pre-CGI, and must have had a huge budget because they had so many extras.
They did. They must have used several armies.
I do you know what you're bringing back to my mind some memories of that, because I was interested in it as I said as a kid. And I think they did. I think you're absolutely right. They sort of commandeered from somewhere in Eastern Europe, standing armies who they could dress up as the various people to do it.
Well, the scene of the squares.
Yes.
in the
Actually,
film
I meant to
Waterloo,
ask, was the square in Zulu a representative of the British square?
well, that's another wonderful, wonderful film.
It wasn't quite a square, was it? Well, it
Well,
was.
no, they were defending.
Yeah.
They were defending an outpost.
And
But
so
the way they slaughtered the Zulus who were attacking them was very similar to two sides of a square.
Yeah. So they had a, you know, I'm not sure if they were sandbags or empty ammunition boxes, whatever it was. They had
Well, they were everything, Richard. Yeah.
that they had that. Whereas the infantry at Waterloo were out on open ground. They had nothing to hide behind. And you know, Wellington, whenever the French heavy cavalry charged, would simply go and ride his horse into the middle of one of the squares. So
That's correct. That's what they did. Yeah.
He was just there because he trusted the men. You know, you can imagine if that square had broken, he would have gone. It would have been a disaster.
Well,
for all those young women that he was toughing.
Now we've been 29 minutes, believe it or not.
That's
just
enough.
over my is right at the back, lurking, is Declan, and he's becoming a star in his own right.
I'm
He
glad to
appears
hear
at the back, and come on, say hello, Declan. This is an unexpected program, so we're sorry to take up the time, but there's Declan. And believe me, you will not find a better landlord anywhere in the United Kingdom.
We all know
Absolutely
that. We've known
fantastic.
that for years.
Yeah.
You knew it was his birthday on Tuesday.
Yes.
Oh yes, he bought me a drink. Yes, it was very kind. Yeah.
Well, I'll take that one
Yeah,
back then.
but you know you won't.
No.
Let's carry on. The pub tour open.
No,
Yeah, we'll be clear before you expect the first punter through the door.
Promise you.
Well, we've got a quarter of an hour, so you're fine.
All right. Thanks, Declan. Okay, Philip, we will see you. Well, we won't see you tomorrow because you're off on important duties.
no, that's Richard.
I am. Yeah.
Ah,
Richard has a hospital appointment. It's not me.
oh,
Yeah,
yes,
but
that's right,
that's no problem.
rather a fraught
I
one.
mean, if
Yeah.
you wanted me to do an hour, I could, but it's up to you.
Yes, do come on at 8 in the morning.
All right.
Keep the continuity going, and then we will remember him lying in the hospital bed being cured.
Well, being ministered to by, you can imagine.
Right.
I was
All right. Well, I'll see you in the morning, Keith.
All right.
Yeah, I was just thinking there that what with Keith and the landlord here, they are in fact arse and deck.
That is.
What do you think of that, Declan?
What's that?
They're likening us to you and I as Ant and Dec.
There's definitely jungle around here.
Bye-bye.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
Yeah, lovely to see
And
you.
thank you
Philip.
very much indeed, and thank you very much for the very surprise party. It is absolutely terrific. I love it. I wish this would happen every day, but it won't.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not unless you change the Gregorian calendar. You get a second one. It won't.
Well, let us say toodle pip to all the viewers. And this has been a most unusual morning. We had you and Napoleon to start off with, John Henty with Max Miller, and then back again to the English Civil War. So you can't get much more from any television service. Toodle pip. From Lewis in the Black Horse Pub.